Hey, hi, how's it going? I'm Carter, and this week's video is a little bit different. You see, about a week ago, I received a friend request from a guy named Ben. Who is this? Who did this? And Ben is a TikToker that we occasionally stumble across. He is a anarcho-capitalist or a libertarian. He writes for something called the Mises Institute. And Ben didn't like the fact that I may have called some of his idols fascist sympathizers, which I still wholeheartedly believe. Ben claims that I had called a Jewish Marxist a Nazi, and he really hammers home on that in the video. But in the video, you'll see that I never said that. Another thing is, during this debate, you'll see that Ben never really listens to me. I think he rolled his eyes so far back into his head, he may have seen another universe. He could have been overdosing, and I don't know. Anyways, you can watch the whole debate probably in my VODs on Twitch. I think Ben uploaded it if you want to. Go over there. Anyways, here's the video. There's a lot of filler cut out. We talked in a ton of circles, and I'll interject somewhere in some parts and give you some history and kind of debunk his claims. How's your day been?
Not bad.
Caution.
Violence,
armed and dangerous.
Recording in progress.
Cool.
All right, I just want to record that because I'll probably put this on my YouTube later.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, anyways, so the order of business here is I accidentally came across one of your videos, or I guess a video from one of your fans of you from Twitch,
Yes.
which was the one talking about baby markets. We don't have to talk about that, but I found the longer one of you going over my TikToks.
Okay.
And of course, right off the bat, you have my video where I'm trying to explain why I think National Socialism is in fact a form of socialism.
Mhm.
Not a very controversial opinion.
But I mean, that's very controversial. What do you mean?
No, only if you're a Marxist.
Not really. I'm pretty sure any economist from, I mean, I got my degree in literature studying this, political science, right? Research dissemination of political science. And
Okay.
I think I can only name like maybe libertarian leaning, or maybe a few like non-libertarian, more conservative, that call National Socialist in any modern sense. We understand.
Well, that shouldn't matter because you tried to discredit everyone who's not a Marxist and is a historian on the
Not
subject. So
really anybody from Mises, I do.
Yeah, you did. We can go over that later, actually, because I got timestamps and everything.
I admit that I called them a Nazi by mistake, but colloquially, we understand Nazis as fascist, right? In America, right, we understand Nazis as fascist. So the overarching point is that they're fascist. I was wrong. They're Austrian fascist or Christo-fascist, but not Nazis. But we understand.
Okay, you said the word Nazi.
You're right, but we missed that.
At least 20 times.
That's okay.
In reference to me or one of my
sources,
people I'm looking up to intellectually. You called a Jewish Marxist who was part of the underground, an underground group that rebelled against Hitler. You called him a Nazi. His entire life.
Who is the Jewish Marxist?
Gunter Reimann.
I'm just going to interject here. You're about to watch a clip, which is the one that Ben said he had watched, where I actually never called Gunter Reimann a Nazi. I didn't know who Gunter Reimann was, admittedly, but I did later on, which is a cut. Apparently, Ben doesn't understand what live commentary is, but I said that these people were Nazi adjacent or Nazi appealing or appealing to fascist. Anyways, here's the clip.
Marxist economist Gunter Reimann said the state had made a principle that private property is no longer sacred. The decree of February 28, 1933 nullified Article 153 of the Weimar Constitution, which guaranteed private property. I don't know, man. If I would have read that stuff and said it was some socialist constitution, you guys would be all for it.
They actually got rid of all the socialists.
Well, clearly not, since they were socialists. Haha.
Bro, just because you say it doesn't mean it's true. Just because you say it. And you read a bunch of books by people who have an interest in, I guess, appealing to Nazis, right? Or fascists. They appeal to libertarians and caps. It doesn't matter because it's anything as long as it's not Marxist, right?
All right. Well, you did admit that you were wrong to call them Nazis, so we don't have to dwell on that point. That's
yeah.
Fair
I learned from that. They weren't Nazis. They were just a different kind of fascist. They would align closer with Nazis than pretty much anyone else.
They weren't fascists.
They literally were, by definition, fascist.
So Mises, you referred to him as fascist for two different reasons. One is some things he said about fascism in his book Liberalism. That was written in 1927. Well, it was written before that. It was published in 1927, right? The Nazis came to power in 1933. That's a very important context that a lot of people leave out.
The idea that fascism didn't exist before the Nazis that Ben somewhat tries to push here is false. The term fascist at that time meant Mussolini's brand of fascism, and that would become the inspiration for the interwar Austrians, Mises included in this.
Right, so the context of him writing this before the fascists did the worst things they ever did, right? In this time, he was experiencing the austro-fascists, which were very, very moderate fascists.
Dr. Dollfuss, the diminutive Chancellor of Austria, who as dictator has decreed the suppression of the socialists, visits the scene of hostilities at Floridsdorf. The socialist casualties on the first day are known to have included 1,500 dead.
Out of everybody, they were possibly the most moderate ones.
Right?
Yes. They're still fascist, 100%. I wouldn't contest that. But again, this is very important, right? Because they were anti-Nazi. They were very moderate fascists. He was a member of the Austro-Fascist Party because it was required by law.
Well, he wasn't just a member. That's disingenuous.
Yeah.
No,
he was a member.
No, well,
he was
not
member.
only a member. You understand that, right? He was the economic advisor to Dollfuss.
Right. So he was a member because he was in public service. He was public service because he was an economic advisor.
Yeah, but why would you join public service if you didn't support it? He could have just been a member who did nothing.
Oh,
another moment I want to, bring something up here. In the debate, I didn't mention this, but both Bauer and Hayek had fled before Mises, and so Mises had the opportunity to flee. Mises only ends up fleeing once he understands that the Nazis are coming to fascist Austria to take over.
We'll get to that. You have to, you have to let me get through this, right?
Okay.
So he was an economic advisor. He had been an economic advisor before the Austro-Fascists took over. He was actually good friends with someone in parliament. His name was Otto Bauer. Otto Bauer was the leader of the Austro-Marxists. He was a very good friend of Mises. Mises was an advisor to him. He was such a close advisor. Mises was such a close advisor to Bauer that he single-handedly convinced him not to start a second Bolshevik revolution in Austria.
I just want to point out here, the only source that Bauer and Mises were super close is Mises himself. The only things I can find online are from the Austrian Economic Newsletter and from Mises.org. Bauer never mentions Mises. We do know that they had some form of disagreement if we are to go off of what Mises said, but that's kind of where the story ends. The idea that Mises had convinced Bauer of something was not true. I mean, Mises even writes that he could not sway Bauer of his Marxist convictions, and he didn't. Bauer joined the SDAP, which was a socialist party against the encroaching fascist movement, and then had to flee the country. And Mises was nowhere to be found, except for supporting a fascist. This business approaches you. It's the KKK, and they're going to give you a bunch of money to be their chairman, right? Their economics chairman, right? Or whatever, to determine their treasury, right?
Well, no, the KKK has no power. If Biden did it, yeah.
We're going to imagine,
without
okay,
a doubt,
the Confederacy.
100%.
The Confederacy.
Yeah. I would be like,
so then,
yo, you know what's really bad economically? Slavery.
But slavery was amazing economically.
That's a weird thing to say, but
it was for capitalists, was it not?
No, well, not for capitalists. The capitalists
it was free labor.
The capitalists who actually were capitalists and acted as capitalists. Had workers. They were very anti-slavery.
How does that make any sense? Explain that to me. It's
not free labor. It comes at a cost, right? Because
the cost of what?
You not only have to, of course, initially pay for them, pay for the transportation, everything, but you also have to pay for, of course, their housing. You don't.
Okay, what about their wages?
Right.
They don't have.
You pay for their housing, their food. You pay for security. You pay for extra fencing. You pay for people to go after them if they escape. It was very expensive.
Okay, but
I mean, I don't want to get caught up on that, on a debate on if slavery was actually economically good.
Do I even need to say anything here? Or how do you define fascism, I guess, is a better question.
Well, I would define fascism as generally a nationalist, spiritualist, post-Marxist socialism.
I'm being very charitable to you. I'm being super nice.
No, you're not. You called me dumb, stupid,
when did I
an idiot.
Bro, I'm streaming
30
live.
times in your.
You fucking dumbass. What is your end goal? What would you say is your utopia? Your fundamental, your core belief. Okay, what's your core belief?
Virtuous and orderly. I want a moral society.
Okay, what's moral though? So this is where we'll get to the fundamentals, right? I'll wait till you go and then I'll explain mine. Okay, that way we can like see where we line up, maybe.
I don't want to get into a whole moral debate though, because this kind of defeats. Like I wanted to cover the topics because we can get in. Like we could have spent 30 minutes on a debate about.
Well, yeah, I admit to making a mistake calling them a Nazi.
For 30 minutes on morals or whatever.
That's
right.
Not,
like,
okay.
I just don't want to do that. Neo-confederacy. First of all, that's a label placed on us. So
essentially, you didn't like that I called people fascist, essentially, because Nazi was the wrong term, and I admit to that. You know, I'm an adult, I can, but they're fascist, and you just didn't like that, and that's what we disagree on. That's our disagreement, just to make sure. Because I had the other things that I wanted to talk about, but
no, I mean, you tried to say I admitted they're fascists and stuff like that.
He is a fascist.
I clearly didn't. Yes,
okay.
They're still fascist, 100%. I wouldn't contest that.
Well, no, I mean, he is. We just
still
have this.
Not, still not.
No, you just define fascism differently than me. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you just give a vague definition that makes it completely.
What are you doing? You're using a definition by a guy who was a fascist. You're using the definition from the dude. If I killed someone, I'd be like, I'm not a murderer, bro. I'm just a gun shooter.
Yeah, okay.
Most of what I see, right? I don't remember their names. I don't have a library, right? No one, like, they all agree that Austria is pretty fascist at the time, right? And a guy who supports a party is, I think, the same as somebody who is the treasury of, like, the KKK, right? Or the treasury of the Confederacy, a pro-slavery idea, right? That's the whole point I was trying to make. To me, that makes you fascist adjacent. You're a moderate fascist, or whatever you said. The Austrian party was moderate fascist. It wasn't full fascism, but any fascism to me is bad, right? So I think he supported that.
That's besides the point.
Oh, come on! Do you know what VDare is?
Isn't it like a website or a magazine or something?
Yeah, it's like a neo-Nazi website, like kind of a think tank. They both have written multiple times for that website, like pretty like for that. I mean, neo-Nazis are understandably fascist, right? Or
this says the same thing. It just says they publish his speeches, the two speeches.
Okay. So why do neo-Nazis keep coming to them then? I guess another question. Why do neo-Nazis point to this for, you know, affirmation?
One of the big reasons a lot of Nazis, fascists, extreme monarchists go to Hoppe is because the left and some libertarians call him those things. So they're like, oh, Hoppe, yeah, that's our guy. He's like...
So what is Hoppe's argument then? Because like I would have the same thing, right? After reading Hoppe, I usually assume he would fall into like the idea that like monarchy or some form of moderate fascism kind of seems like his, you know, end goal. Like, I mean, maybe where he sees things going. I'm just trying to, you know, make conversation, see where we're going.
Yeah, so Hoppe argues that monarchy is preferable to democracy. I don't think anybody actually supports democracy. Like, actually, right?
So what's the alternative then, right? It would be minority rule, right? Over majority?
Well, the alternative is self-governance, is anarchy.
The self-governance leads to somebody else eventually governing you, right? Somebody with a bigger gun.
Again, I don't want to get into... Like, I don't want to keep branching off into different debates. I mean, but I don't want to have like a whole anarchy. Maybe in the future we could have like a debate on anarchy and like private law and stuff. That might be something I'm interested in. But like for now, I don't want to get too into that.
That's like the whole basic thing. That's fascism to me, right? Protecting the minority is fascism. That's why I call Mises a fascist. And people
I never said
him.
anything about protecting minorities.
No, but that's what it is. You just said there's stipulations, and I'm telling you,
I do want to protect minority. I mean, protect the wait. I
the minority opinion.
Like,
right?
I like that quote, protecting minorities.
What's the joke?
Yeah, minority opinions.
I love
obviously,
that.
You know.
I know what you mean, but I love that quote though. It's funny.
Oh, yeah, no, I still don't get it.
But he's still not like pro-monarchy, right? Like the way I see it, I mean, obviously you disagree with your take on democracy, but the way I see it is supporting a dictatorship or a monarchy that agrees with you exactly is actually a pretty reasonable thing, right? There's plenty of problems, of course, with dictators and monarchs. I think, but I still think, like, generally speaking, people do support that. Actually, the best place to learn Marxism, like basis of Marxism, is Thomas Sowell's book.
And there it is. Ben managed at the end to remove his fingers from his ears and unstick his eyeballs from the back of his skull to give us a take. he would rather choose a dictator who believes in what he does over democracy. And if the dictator that he believes in is anything like the Mises Institute, which was founded by neo-confederates and racist and nationalist, then I think that's bad. Or you could say fascist. I think Ben would support a fascist. And Ben, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I called you a dumbass. I'm also a dumbass. But the difference is I don't go out of my way to add someone on Discord, get into a call with them on Zoom, lecture them for an hour and a half while not listening to a word they say. It's okay. I don't blame you. You're probably very angry or triggered. And maybe next time, if we ever do talk, you'll understand that I'm just trying to be a human. I've never met someone as bad faith as you. And that's okay. You're a fascist.